Welcome to the EMN podcast, where philosophy meets disaster and uncomfortable truths meet the profession we call emergency management. This is not safe space thinking. This is the arena. Let's begin. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are at in this fine world. Man, we are festive today, Daniel.
We are. I love it. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
That's a lot to be presenting people with at the moment.
It's like pie and pumpkins and pilgrim hats.
It may take away some of the attention on us, which is
that's a good thing, though.
Give them something else to look for.
Oh man! So first of all, did you have a good trip home from the conference?
I did. I'm not home yet. I'm visiting family in Oklahoma, and then I will be heading back to California after Thanksgiving. So I'm here for the week to visit, enjoy festivities and eat and all that good stuff, and love on my kids. And then I will head back to California for until Christmas, where I get to come back. But yeah, my trip from Louisville, Kentucky, from IAM 2025 was I drove down there to Louisville, then drove back. It was great. Had a great drive. It was pretty, kind of non-eventful, which is awesome. What about you? How was your trip back?
Oh, it was super uneventful. I mean, the plane trip was great. No problems there. And with all the drama that was going before the conference, I mean, the plane trip was awesome. So no delays or anything like that. So that was great. Speaking of the conference, I think it was an awesome conference this year. Great location as far as like things to do, and lots of got to see. It's like a reunion, I get to see a lot of old friends, meet new friends, and and some really great interviews. Dan, great job, by the way, pulling interviews on the floor.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, there was a lot of good people to talk with. A lot of people had some great things to say about what was going on at the conference, why they came to the conference, why people should go, why next year it's going to be in Long Beach, so we're already starting to talk about that and what we're gonna do there, and get all the planning committee and all that stuff going for IAM overall, but EMN also going to be there, and what we're going to do and how we're going to do things. So the IAM conference is the one thing that I've said multiple times in the interviews. It's one conference that I work towards not missing every year. So there's a lot that goes on there. There's a lot of people connecting with old friends, making new friends, a lot of networking opportunities. There's some great new friends that I got to meet, and I'm actually connecting with over the coming months to get them on board with podcasting and speaking at the summits and stuff like that with people from around the country, from Israel and Australia. They had a lot of new vendors this year as well. They were there for the first time, and getting to connect with them was pretty great as well.
Yeah, I got to talk with the president of IEM in Israel and down in South America. That was really neat to connect with them, and just with a bunch of great people. Got to meet a couple of emergency managers from Kirkland. They were fun. Every time I met somebody new with them, I kept saying, "Hey, they're the ones with the toilet papers made." I don't really know if the toilet paper is made in Kirkland or not, but I just like to say that because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, there was. I got to meet the president of the African continent. So very.
Oh
clear.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
she was very clear. It wasn't the country of Africa. It was the continent of Africa with 54 countries within the continent. So I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I heard that's a lot. So
where was she from again? I think it was like Nigeria, right?
I can't remember exactly. I don't want to misspeak on that, but
me either. She's a wonderful lady, though.
Yeah, we did the interview. It's there. I can always review it to make sure I get the information right. I don't want to say something that wasn't right, but she was telling me about a lot of different. I think it was Nigeria, but I want to make sure I don't.
If I'm wrong, I apologize. Pre-apologize about that, by the way. But she was a wonderful lady. Very nice.
Yeah, very committed, very passionate, a lot of conviction on what IAM could do and bring to the continent overall, and how it was great.
Put that in perspective, right? Like IAM USA, which is great, right? Where we got we have a vast amount of property, like land wise, that we USA, is responsible for. But now you have Africa, a whole continent.
Yeah. Well, you think too. I mean, look at it. I mean, I can't in my head right now. I can't even think about land mass and all that other stuff. I'm just when it comes to, yeah, that's not where I shine. But I can tell you when you got, it's almost like having all 52 states around 50. All of our states being all divided right into a country. If all of our states in the United States versus her 52 or 54 countries is kind of like their own. That's all. That's their own country. That's
Right.
It'd be like having all their 50. It'd be like their states, our states, and their countries. Kind of the way it's.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's a lot there. There's a lot to it. But they said they all work together. They all have some form of emergency management style, or someone doing the job. She said so. Yeah, it's kind of that. That's the comparison I make: our states versus their, the country, our United States, their continent. But who knows? I mean, when it comes to that kind of stuff, that's not where I shine.
But Africa's the continent of Africa is vast, huge.
It's huge. Yeah, it's absolutely huge, and yeah, it's huge. And she put it in pretty good perspective in our interview.
Yeah,
it's we should probably go through all of our interviews and get them recorded, get them in a location so we could refer back to them. Because we went live a lot, so
yeah.
we were live in those interviews, and so we could go pull them and let people see them. But we talked to a lot of great people and learned a lot of great things. And you realize too when you're talking to people and when you're networking and stuff like that, how sometimes you could be a little disconnected with some stuff that's happening. Even in our own backyard, I was meeting presidents and board members from various regions throughout the United States because with IAM we match the FEMA regions, so we have 10 regions, we have 10 IAM regions. So I was meeting presidents from the IAM regions and people I'd never met before, and I work with an IAM, I work with all these things, and to talk with people from Region 6 and Region 7, and then you get kind of stuck in your own little world. Region 9 is where I normally am working in getting things done, but to be able to connect with other regions and see how they're doing things. And we had the mixer, which was Region 9, Region 7, and Region 10.
Yeah.
And so I got to meet a lot of different people from around the country. It was great. It was absolutely fantastic. So
I think that's a beautiful part about it too. And you're right. I mean, like we can get stuck in our own little box, and to be able to meet people from all over the country, all over the world, realistically.
Yeah, the world.
Yeah.
People there from India, people there from Australia, people there from the UK, Canada, Africa, Israel. There's a lot. So I mean, and then these are people too that you don't necessarily pay attention to if you don't know who they are and what they're doing. But we were intentionally looking for them. We were intentionally connecting with them. We wanted to find out more about them and how we could support them. And there was just a lot this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're not really here to talk about IAM, although I can talk about that all day long.
No, well, the topic we can talk about that we're going to talk about, we can kind of talk about it in what we kind of have to do in prioritization. So, IAM was a big part of it this year.
I did get to the cool part about it. It's like I always one last thing about IAM, and then we'll move on. Is a lot of us went to the executive academy, to the academies, right, across the board. And it's awesome to run into the people that you went to the academies with. Like I said, it's a big reunion. I want to say I got to really sit down again, see Jeff Hansen. You're both of our mutual friend. Got to talk to him a lot. I had an opportunity to speak to the Tribal Affairs Caucus. Great group of people doing some really awesome work. And that was an honor to be able to go and speak to them. And I just want to say thank you for that opportunity to them to be able to have a sit-down conversation with them and to try to see how we can to do more with that specific caucus. Got to talk to the UCC, the university's caucus as well, but they're a really well established caucus. But and a couple other of the smaller caucuses I got to work with as well. But excited about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's just so much. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it brings good kind of to transition into what we were talking about today in emergency management with the triage. Triaging is basically prioritization and how you prioritize and how we prioritize certain things and how we in our own lives. But let's talk about it in emergency management. So I'll let you introduce it.
Sure. So, one of the first things they taught when I went, let me rewind a little bit. I went to EMT school back in 1988. Whoa, my thumb went up. Well, back in 1988, a long time ago. And then paramedic school in 92. One of the biggest things that we say, hey, when we have a disaster, we have an MCI, when we have this large amount of victims that we have in front of us, we have to triage them. We have to figure out who's hurt the worst, how do we treat them, and what order we sort them out. That's basically what triage means, right? We just sort. And so we start where we stand, right? Don't run around. Just you start right where you stand and you figure out what's going on with the order of a function. And in emergency management, in the larger context of things, we have to triage how we are using our limited resources to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people in our area. And it's a hard decision to make at times, right? Like, how do you decide? And I put this in a training context, and I use this a lot, is if you have the senior housing collapse, right, and you have a grade school collapsed during the same earthquake, and you only have finite number of resources, what do you do? And there's ethics associated with that. Like, how do you triage those two buildings, and who do you save first? And it's a deep conversation, something that we're not going to really get into on this right now. But put that in the context of, like, there's a large scale earthquake, all this destruction is going on, and you find out that there's an elementary school that has a collapse, and you have a senior center that's collapsed. And where do you put your resources? And so that's where triage comes into play. Is like, what can you do? Where do you put the resources? What's going to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people? And what that means, and what are the ethical considerations that go in there. And Dan, you have done a ton of work in the ethics space, and so I thought that this would be a really great conversation to start with you on that. Excuse me, on the ethics. So, what does it mean to be ethical in your decision making?
Well, yes, thank you. So, yeah, I've spent a lot of time working on this. I still spend a lot of time working on this. Belonging to we actually did a special interest group on ethics and building a professional code of ethics for emergency managers. And it's been 5+ years now that we've been doing that. We still meet on that. We put out the professional code of ethics for not only review, but for people to comment and make changes. And we've gone through the whole process of doing it. Yeah, there's a lot that goes to it, and everybody has a different view of what ethics or morals or values may be when it comes down to how we do things. When it comes to ethics in emergency management, and it's not just it's emergency management in general, but we have to think about the aspects and response and recovery and all these different things when we're making these decisions that we have to make. And a lot of it, and preparedness and readiness and all that stuff as well. And we have to think about these things. And sometimes it's not based off of a specific code or a specific guide. It's based off of the situation that's in front of us. And sometimes when you go back and look at it, which is a lot of what building ethics is, it's that armchair or Monday morning quarterbacking when it's after the fact, when you look back at it and you say, was that ethical? Was that something could we do it better? And that's how you get better in general. But when you can look back on something and say, what did we do? But just understanding that when we make decisions, everything we do is going to be looked at in hindsight. All the decisions are going to be there. So we have to know that we are doing the greatest good for the greatest number, and that's a philosophical concept as well. That was brought forward, that you have to do you have to look what's beneficial for the greatest number. And when you have limited resources, yeah, you have to make those decisions. And if you got to do the scenario that you just put out, that's a difficult one to put for a lot of people. What would you do? Some people, it's a lot easier to make. It's just it's an easier thing. So it really does dive into how we're going to live with the decisions that we make, and knowing that, yeah, it's not easy, and some people are going to die based off of decisions that we make.
There's that ethical dilemma that you go through in college. Probably anybody who's taken courses where you have, I'm going to butcher it a little bit here, the trolley, right? You ever go on that one, Dan? The trolley.
No.
So there's a trolley going down the hill. It's out of control, and you have a lever, and you can save the people on the trolley. But if you do, it's going to kill one person. All right, either going to lose the whole trolley full of people, or if you pull the lever, it's going to go over for sure, kill one person. Right? It's like, what do you do? Right? And that's the start of the conversation. And I think sometimes we do. This is some of those decisions that we have to wrestle with in emergency management. Of like, do we, fire, and I'll put this back in the fire. We draw a line in the sand and saying, okay, we can defend up to this point, and we're going to lose these homes. And it sucks, and we know that, right? We're going to lose these homes. Or, we can do responder allocation to so much. We can do lifeline restoration to only these lifelines. We can't fix them all. We can only put power to these areas first, right? Or to this area. How do we choose that? And there's some really deep decisions that we have to make, and they're hard. They're not. These aren't easy decisions. And I think if they're easy decisions, as the old saying goes, anybody can do it, right? And these are hard conversations, policy decisions that have to be made, but they have to be framed in ethics. They can't be in other words, I can't say, hey, I'm going to put this engine on the corner of Walk and Don't Walk because Dan Scott's house is there, and I want to make sure Dan's house is safe, right? My friend's house during the Eaton fire, as an example, not that he had a decision-making power, but he was out there doing rescues. His name's Dan Page. I give him the shout out, right? He's a retired deputy sergeant with the LA County Sheriff's Department, but he still volunteers with the search and rescue. He was out there doing rescues as his brother's house burnt down and his house burnt down. He was still out there doing it. He could have not done that and tried to save his own home. You know what I mean? So there are decisions that you make he was doing the greatest good for the greatest number, and understanding that his home was in peril. Right. And those are some of the decisions that we have to make as first responders and as emergency managers, that we sometimes make decisions that are hard with responder allocation, lifeline restoration, and community continuity. But we have to make those decisions in that ethics framework. And I think that's the critical side. And I think that's the tough decisions. I think these are some of the conversations that you need to have during your tabletop conversations. That's kind of sort of why I'm framing this conversation today with you on.
Yeah, I think, and there's a lot of different, we can go a lot of different ways with this, but, in emergency management, it's easy to choose life over property.
Absolutely.
It's easy to choose property over the environment, so when it comes down to it, it boils down to, is it defendable? Can you defend the decisions you made based on the information that you had and the the outcome that was made, that came from that, right? So the greatest good for the greatest number is difficult, especially when you know the decisions that you make could potentially affect the lives of someone else, the people you don't know as well. I mean, these are people you may or may not know, but decisions that you're making could potentially affect whether or not they get help, um, or live or die. And it's difficult. It's difficult. It's a lot of pressure
Yeah.
as well. But if we have a guide and we have set ethics and procedures and standards that are there based off of a code of ethics, it's easier to make those decisions because you've thought through it and you've decided things. And that's why I'm a big fan of pre-designated triggers.
Mm.
It's not making a decision based off of how you feel or how your opinion is. It's based off of a situation that's presented itself. If this happens, it's logic. If this happens, then this happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
If A happens, then B happens. That's just the way it is.
Linear processes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the moral burden on the decision maker then?
Well, there shouldn't be a burden if you're making decisions based off of those things. But when the decisions really come in, like let's give an example. One example that I've heard and used quite often is during Hurricane Harvey. So Hurricane Harvey, and we can take it all the way back to Katrina if we really wanted to, but let's say Hurricane Harvey, there was one specific incident. They were telling people to evacuate. They were telling people to get out of the way of danger. Well, so they were doing their job and they were telling people to get out of the way of danger. Well, particular individuals decided they were going to stay. So is that ethical for them to decide to stay when they're being told to leave, knowing that they're putting themselves in danger? Knowing that if they become endangered, now they got to call 911. Now they got to put rescuers in danger to come get them when they were told to evacuate.
Well, okay.
So you have people. No, let's go down. Don't interrupt. I'm going to keep going down this road. Okay. So you got them. They've told people to evacuate. They've told people why. People have decided to stay. The storm hits. Now we have medical emergencies based off the storm, and in the one individual story I'm looking at, this was pre-designed. Someone who's recovering from surgery. They decided they would rather be at home to recover. They didn't want to go anywhere else. Well, they started to experience bad health because of the surgery. Then now they're calling for help, and help did not come because they were pre-allocated to other places in the response.
Absolutely.
That person ended up getting sicker and sicker and sicker, eventually died as a result of that surgery and of the illness that presented. Responders didn't come, and now you have the family members saying, well, response didn't come when we called for help. And then you have the people saying, well, we were responding to other higher priority calls.
Triage.
Yeah, triage. And it was a lower priority call, so we couldn't get to you in time and blah, 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 but we told you to leave. We told you not to be there.
Right.
So that's where, it really does boil down to, like, when you have to make these calls, people's lives could depend on it, whether you understand that in the situation or not. But the decisions everybody makes plays a significant role in the outcome.
So I'm going to push back on that person, and I thank you for that story. Part of what we do in that context is we have to educate the individual on that decision and tell them, look, this is, whether we inform them verbally or with paper, and say, hey, this is the decision that you're making. You are deciding on your own fate here. Understand that we will not put rescuers in harm's way to come save you. Right? That we will not trade a life for a life. And that this is you understand the consequences of this decision, that we are here right now to save you, to rescue you before the storm comes in. Right. And that's a decision that they made.
I agree.
And we tell people fire evacuation all the time. Hey, we're evacuating this area. Right. Um, so yeah, I mean, people don't want to leave, and they can make those choices absolutely all day long. We'll not force anybody to leave.
Yeah, well,
You know,
that's the thing too, and that's another ethical decision that needs to be made, and it's one that is continued to be struggled with. Can you force people to leave?
no,
That's what they're asking. They're asking that. Well, we know they're going to die. We know they're going to be in the direct path of this danger, whatever that danger may be. And they're saying, well, can we force them to leave? And that keeps coming back. No, you can't force anybody to do anything. So it's like, no, so they got to let them make their decision that they're going to put themselves in that danger. But
I
don't
think
expect that help is going to come because you made the decision to stay.
our moral and ethical duty at that point, and they're two separate things. Morals and ethics are two separate, right? I think our moral and ethical duties at that point is to inform those people exactly what their decision is, that they're deciding to stay in harm's way, and this is what the consequences of the decision. And I think at that point we can. It's not easy. It's not easy for that, to walk away from those people, but to say we did our best. It's like in medical side. We know the person's going to die, and they say I don't want to go to the hospital. You say, okay, here's the AMA, sign this form, and it says that we told you everything possible, and you're going to sign this, say that you don't want to go to the hospital.
And for everybody out there listening who doesn't know, AMA means against medical advice.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan, for
Yeah.
filling that out.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we do our best, and I think that's where the kind of that ethical part of it comes into triage. Is I think that the moral side of it is that we have to do what's the best for everybody. The triage part of it is doing what's the greatest good for the greatest number.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really does boil down to that in a lot of in how we train and how we respond, and then how we plan of what are we doing for the greatest good for the greatest number. That's it. I can't do my planning for you, Todd. I have to do my planning for the greatest number of people that could be affected by a specific situation. So yeah, and when we respond to it, when we respond to mass casualty, there's a difference in how we triage because we're triaging what's right in front of us and who we can save.
Mm-hmm.
Versus when we know something's coming and we're trying to do all the little things like put notifications, get evacuations going, get people, shelters, get people in hotels, get people transportation. The triage becomes much bigger, right? Because we got time. When we're dealing with medical response triage, we don't have time. Like that
Right.
time is against us in that point. Like it's already happened. Now the time is against us because people are going to die if we don't make decisions.
Absolutely.
Right there. And some of those decisions we make are allowing people to die. We cannot help this person. This person is going to die on scene because now I have to move to the next person I can save.
Right.
That's triage. And and I have to live with that decision. I have to live with the decision to let this person die so that next person could live. That's medical triage. And the decisions that we make in response in real-time situations to disasters are the same things. Do I send someone to this location or do I move to the next location because that location is lost? And those are decisions we got to make, and they will weigh on us. But we do the greatest good for the greatest number.
On this note, I'm going to leave everybody with some homework. If you have Netflix, if you don't, if you try to get the free trial, whatever, there is a movie that's out right now called House of Dynamite. I just watched it, and man, talk about triage, and that whole situation. I found it fascinating of a movie, and I think it's pretty darn realistic. And if you take away, it's about a nuclear bomb. Okay, that's not. There's no spoiler there. Take away the nuclear bomb portion of it, and add a hurricane or another event that's coming like that into that spot. And going through, and if you take away the military section of it and add whatever, right? I think you can really see the parallels between what we do as emergency management and what that movie was. I found it fascinating, but there was a triage portion of it for sure. There was acceptable losses, as they say.
Yeah, and when it comes down, I haven't seen that movie. I've heard a lot of things about that movie. Specifically, I know about I know the concepts. I know, but if you are like me and you like to see things finish, you might not enjoy the ending.
It finishes. No. It finishes multiple times throughout the day.
So you got to see. But if I have not watched it yet, and it's because I've been warned, I don't like certain types of endings.
Okay, I'll tell you this much, Dan. The ending, the event at the end does not impact the movie because it's not about that. It's about everything that comes up to that.
Yeah, I've heard. I know what happens. Yeah. I know the 3 different scenarios that you get to see. I hear it's a very good movie.
This is a very good movie.
Yeah, I heard the movie itself is fantastic. But for me, people who know me, they were like, you should probably not watch that movie. So,
Mary Jo Flynn Nevins. I always forget to add that extra last name because I've known her for years and she got married. And anyway, Mary Jo Flynn, MJ, as we like to call her. She Sacramento County, California. She actually created, or her team created, a tabletop exercise based around that movie. I thought that was kind of cool. Using that scenario.
I mean, like I said, it's got a great concept. It's got a fantastic cast. And it's one of those I'll probably end up watching eventually when I can wrap my head around, understanding that for those who do not know, okay, and Todd may be hearing this for the first time. I'm a highly functional person who's on the spectrum, and I'm ADHD. Okay, so there's a lot, and people in my life do research because how to deal with me. But a lot of it is there's certain things that I have to have that take place, like repetition, and I like knowing what's going to happen, and that's why emergency management for me is so unusual as a career, because I never know exactly what's going to happen. I just have to plan for it and prepare for it, and I just happen to be really good at it. But I'm a certain type of mentality. I'm a certain type of personality, and I have to. Certain things will put me out of whack, and that movie will put me out of whack. I've already been told.
Oh,
tell people what it is, Todd. You saw it.
No, it's about.
No spoiler alerts here. If you're gonna watch it, go watch it. Don't get pissed if he ruins something for you. I'll tell you right now. Go watch it or don't watch it. But I tell you right now, you're gonna love the movie. The movie itself is supposed to be really, really good.
There's no spoiler alerts because everybody knows this is the basis of the movie. Is that there is a nuclear missile that gets shot. No one really knows where it comes from, and it impacts it hits the United States.
It hits the United States, but you get to see 3 different
angles,
3 different scenarios.
What's the scenarios?
Well, it's 3 different. It's 3 different, basically departments. Yes. Working through the scenario.
Correct.
They're responding to what's happening.
Yes.
So you get to see it 3 different responses to the same incident, but they're from different views.
So you get to see like the professional White House view, like the NSA type view. Then you get to see the military view, and you get to see the political view.
Yeah, and then nothing.
No, they make a decision.
No, did nothing. Did not. There's nothing. Then I hate movies like that. Just so you know, it's nothing. So you guys watch it, and you tell me if Todd's right or if I'm right. Okay, I have not watched the movie for a very specific reason. So Todd's seen it, and I'm telling Todd he's wrong. Okay, Todd's seen the movie
twice.
He's seen it, and I have not, and I'm telling Todd he's wrong. So please watch the movie, and you tell Dan you should watch the movie. Okay, let's go there. I'm going to put it to you guys, and if I get enough people to come to watch, I'm going to go watch it, and you can tell me I'm wrong, and so I can go watch that movie. Okay.
Oh, Danny, you're wrong. You're gonna watch it twice. I watched it twice.
All right. I love
All
you,
right.
Todd.
All right. Hey, man, everybody, I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. You know, and enjoy your family. I really do. And make sure you give everybody a hug at least once during this holiday season. And until next time, please stay safe and stay hydrated. We'll play this outro here.
When the sirens scream out loud, or the voice that breaks the cloud, heads held high when things go wrong, will guide you through its strength and song. Disaster strikes without a sound, chaos reigns but we're around. Public safety in our hands, steady strong in every land. Emergency management.